Allowed.
We need to tell someone not to come in.
Yeah, I've already told you. We are not. I have not streamed yet. This is getting broadcasted on YouTube. YouTube से भी बाहर नहीं जा रहा है.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Okay.
Just keep smiling.
Yeah. Look energetic.
हाँ, super energy.
Yes.
They should be happy.
Chat देगा, ठीक है?
हाँ, chat please.
Should try it.
Answer.
Yes.
मैं login कर रहा हूँ.
एक और
Ask
निकल
this
लेना
question.
ताकि तू question पूछ सके.
I will be
ऐसे question
asking
बहुत
these
हैं, don't worry.
questions.
Infinite लोग आ चुके हैं. एक बार देखना कितने लोग आए हैं.
अनिकेत, इसमें आ गया?
मेरे पास मैंने स्विच ऑफ कर दिया था.
आ गया, मुझे
आ गया? Cool.
Exact 5:45 को आया. चलो गुड लक.
ये live.
Hi everyone, it's so great to have you here. We today have none other than the Het Shah, All India Rank 1 in 2016 NEET, All India Rank 4 in Aims. So Het Shah, welcome to our webinar today. So excited to have you here. So a lot of people are asking, when did you start preparing for your exam?
See, basically, I had my idea of joining medical field when I was in class 10. So actually, I was intended to join either engineering or medical field. So whatever I chose, but I had some more inclination towards medical. So I joined PCB group and class 11th, and then I continued forward. So you can say the time was at the end of class 10th.
Okay, and what inspired you to choose the medical field?
Actually, this inspiration actually came from my mother because actually I was kind of both good in maths and biology as well, equally good, kind of, you can say that. So my mother actually wanted me to do something good for the society as a doctor. So it was her inspiration and my motivation. So I just joined the medical field.
Okay, awesome. So guys, remember, please do keep asking your questions. Take advantage of Het Shah here. He will answer those questions for you. And if you do not get a response, do put in your email ID so that we can respond to your questions later, and subscribe to our channel. So here, Het, we have a question from Sudeshna, who is asking, how did you keep your full concentration and energy till the end of the exam?
See, actually, this is the most important part because during the last few months of preparation, actually the guy is so bored and frustrated that he doesn't want to continue anymore. So at that time is where the parents come and play a very important role. So talk to your parents more as possible as often. Talk to your closest friends. Talk to your teachers, and indulge yourself in certain hobbies in a certain time frame. I mean, not too much, but in a certain fixed time frame. So do what interests you and do other activities as well. But just try to maintain your focus on what is coming ahead of you. So if you lose your focus in the last 2 or 3 months, then it is the most horrible thing that can happen to you because you are wasting your 2 years of hard work, right? So we should not allow that to happen.
Okay. All right. So we have another question from Urvi Arya Hed, and she's asking, how important are insert back exercises? And she wants to know any tips on how to minimize negative marking.
Right. So she talked about the point of NCRT. Now I'll tell you that NCRT is the bare skeleton of the entire AIPMT. Now if you are giving the exam, then you have to do NCRT. That is the direct correlation. So you should have missed the NCRT thing. Now talking about the NCRT back exercises, then as far as boards are concerned, then you should do that because questions are asked like in board from NCRT exercises. So try to do it, solve that. And the question was how to minimize negative feelings. It is such a huge exam, right? So much of pressure, so much of expectations. You want to achieve something in a limited time frame. So I think negative feelings have to be minimized, and that is where certain amount of self-confidence, self-discipline comes in, and of course, parent support plays a vital role here. As I told you earlier as well, because if parents are actually supportive towards your goal, then I think it is the best possible combination. I mean, a student is dedicated, a teacher is supportive, a parent wants to achieve a goal, then it is a try of favorable factors. So if that is for you, try to convince your parents, try to motivate them to motivate you for your goal. So you should do all that and get a good environment.
Right. So let's ask you, Hed, what were the other references or books that you used in order to prepare for your
Yeah, of course. See, as far as references are concerned, then the basic I had told you the NCRT for biology is the bare essential. You must do that. You must do every word, every line, every single thing that is given in NCRT of biology. As far as chemistry is concerned, then I would go for 12th part of chemistry is very important because questions are asked directly from the lines itself. So you should do that. But physics NCERT is a little less important as compared to the other two, as I just told you, physics, chemistry and biology. Now, apart from other books for reference, I would say that for physics, I refer to H.C. Verma as as a conceptual book, and I refer my concepts from that. And for MCQs, I used to a less known book, which is D. Mukherjee. It is not a very famous book, and actually, it is referred to. Actually, I jumped into that book just by chance. But actually, that is a best book which is available in the market for physics MCQs. So try to solve that book again and again. And for chemistry, I would go for the publications by biology. There's excellent books for organic, inorganic, and physical as well. For biology, for MCQs, I used to refer to MTG, NCERT to fingertips, which actually provided some excellent MCQs for NCERT-based questions. And apart from that, if you want to refer to biology theory as well in extensive detail, then you go for Truman's, which is actually very extensive and a very wide book, only if you have time. So that is the last, if you have spare time, nothing to do, then refer that.
All right, so do make sure you guys keep asking your questions and take advantage of this moment because it's really important. I know you guys are aspiring to do really well, so keep those questions coming. We have another question from Piyush Goyal who is asking, how did you strategize? Well, how did you manage your stress level in the last month, and what was your strategy at that time?
Again, the same question as I told you that because last months are the very few critical months of the exams, so you will have to actually manage it yourself. I mean, you will be under pressure. That is, that cannot be negated. That cannot be said that it does not happen. It happens. Tension does come, but you have to manage it yourself as well with your parent support and some of your closest friends, and of course, your teachers will help you during that period.
Right. We have another question coming in from Rishabh who is asking you, Sir, can you suggest only one book for physics and chemistry for NEET? Because NEET teachers suggest multiple books. Which one should they follow?
As I told you earlier, that H.C. Verma is one good book and it should be followed for concepts, but it does not have many more many questions of MCQs. So for that, you will refer to D. Mukherjee. And if you are not, you don't want to go for a higher book like D. Mukherjee, then you should go for some NEET level basic books like Errorless or USS, which are actually very good books for beginners or starters in NEETs.
So do make sure you remember those points. Here we have a question for you. What was your typical study schedule?
Actually, I didn't have a very fixed schedule of like rigidly. I did not follow any fixed schedule, but I actually made a daily planner. Whenever I used to wake up, I had in my mind some rough ideas. I mean, what topics I'm going to cover in during the day. But it was flexible. I used to add some points. I used to delete some points. So I used to just ensure that I studied at least 5 to 6 hours of daily study. That was enough, I think. And of course, my main target was to complete the syllabus on time. That is the ultimate goal. So even if you can study according, you can change these plans according to your own abilities. I mean, some like studying late night, some study early in the morning. So all of that is variable. You can change it according to yourself. But you should just ensure that you practice questions every day and try to maintain your flow on every day. Yeah.
So make sure you remember that. And we have another question again from Shantanu Joshi who wants to ask how to tackle the panic that comes after looking at a tough question. This is really important.
See, actually, now this is a question of the exam time. I know when I gave my NEET exam, I would like to share with you my experience of that day. When I start with biology first, while solving the NEET paper. So the first few questions which came through my line, actually, I did not have any idea of the questions. Now this is a quite a tricky situation. I mean, you prepared for 2 years and you come to across first questions, you don't know the answers. So the thing was that I did not panic at that point of time. I just marked them and went on. So just circle them, mark it for review, and visit them again. And by God's grace, I completed the paper on that day in 1.5 hours, which is half the time of the 3 hours. So the thing is, if you panic during that time, somehow you will have to manage this. I mean, there is no textbook method that you have to follow, some algorithm that you will follow that will help you to overcome this panic. So there is no such algorithm. Try to make your own formulas, try to make your own strategies, and try to just give more and more tests so that this panic factor does not appear in your last exams.
All right. So, what was your plan during the last 1 month? I mean, a lot of people must be wanting to know how did you plan out that one last month?
Yes, because this is the last 1 month, I would say in a short words, it is more of practice and less of theory. Now, see, the last month is that actually you have prepared all your theory concepts you have read it in the last 2 years. So the last 1 month actually try to go for as many practice papers as possible. What I did was that I used to do two papers, at least two papers every day, based on a time basis. I mean, I used to keep a time track, a time record, my kids record, and every other stuff like that. So whatever situations that I expected to face in the exam situation, I try to simulate that at my home conditions, and just try to adapt myself to the exam like situation. So what you have to do is that in the last one for physics, try to revise all the formulas by some handbook which is available in the market. So revise all the formulas. For biology, you go through the NCRT again and again, at least once every week. So if you do the NCRT, all the diagrams and important points that you have known, just go through it during the last few days. For chemistry, you should go through the reactions. Somehow you must have highlighted or made a separate notebook of that. So that should be enough for you. Don't focus on much theory. That will waste your time.
All right, so we have another question coming in from Parthi Joshi. Were you using any sorts of social media or mobile during your preparation? And also, please tell the proper plan for physics.
Okay, now the talking about social media. Actually, I did not use any social media because I was completely restrained from the internet for 2 years. Now, this might seem something big which I'm asking, but it's actually much required. Now, some people advocate that the social media is good enough because it gives you a platform for discussing all this stuff. Yeah, I would say that it is true, but it is good enough if you have a very strict self discipline. But most children don't have that. So the thing is that you should try to avoid, or you should try to just avoid as much as possible. Try to keep away from smartphones if possible, and of course minimize your use of internet or TV. Or instead, you can indulge in some other constructive hobbies of yours. Like you can read novels, listen to music, go for walks, go for jogging, or go for outside to eat in restaurants, go with the friends. But all should be within a restricted time frame. So that is the most important catchphrase here.
Guys, keep those questions coming. You're doing really well. Keep popping in those questions. Ask anything that you want. Make sure to subscribe to our channel as well. And put in that email ID just in case we don't get to you now. We will definitely respond to your questions later. Okay, so we have another question coming in from Stravanti who's asking, how did you prepare for organic and inorganic chemistry?
Now, organic chemistry is actually quite logical or quite illogical depending upon the perspective. So, the organic chemistry, the basic thing is you must understand first the GOC part, which is taught in class 11th. So, if you are having a good grip over the GOC part, then I think that it will be much easier for you to remember the reactions by name. So the thing is that general organic chemistry actually is the most basic funda of the organic chemistry. And one more important problem which comes to students is that they don't remember the named reactions. I mean, there are lots of reactions with different names, with different reagents. So for that, I used to practice by writing. I mean, what I used, I first saw the textbook, I wrote it once by seeing it, and then I tried to memorize it by writing it again and again until I remembered it by heart. So that was how I remembered organic chemistry. And also, inorganic is almost the same, but it is much logical if you can see that. Some people fail to grab the logical part of inorganic chemistry. For that, you will have to study periodic table, chemical bonding in much greater details. So if you do that properly, then I think it will be much easier for you to study SP and DF blocks in a logical manner. That is the most important part.
All right, so we have another question from Tanmoy Kumar Vera. He's asking what to do just before the day of NEET.
Okay, so they are talking about the D day before the D day actually. So the thing was, if I would tell you about my experience, I actually left studying 2 days before the exam, but that is because I was prepared for the 2 years. I would not advise that for all. So the thing was that, see, the most important thing is you should be as relaxed as possible. I mean, I have seen many examples of my co-friends or my friends who actually studied, who worked hard throughout day and night throughout the 2 years, but they got stressed at the time of exams, and the results came out much below their actual potential. So they had a much higher potential of coming in the top 10, but they did not come in the top 10. They came in the top 100. So I think you should. The most important factor is try to remain relaxed as much as possible. And another point, try to get good sleep. Try to talk with your friends and family, and just don't get so much of no best of luck calls and all that thing which you get for the exams. Try to minimize all that stuff. It will bring you under undue stress.
All right, so we have another question. Guys, keep those questions coming. Make sure you're popping in those questions every single second. I want to see those questions with your email IDs, remember, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget about that. So, Sanat Walker wants to ask, what should be the strategy for 600 plus?
Okay, so they're talking about 600 plus marks in NEET. Now, see, if you want to get above 550 marks in NEET, then the basic thing is you should follow the only topics which are mostly asked in NEET. If you study only that much, then I think you will easily get above 550. Now we are talking about 600 plus, then you will have to go further extra. So of course you have to study in more detail. You have to study, practice more questions as much as possible. Try to practice questions of JEE mains, of BITSAT, of AMU, of JIPMER, and of Aims. Of these five exams, you practice questions of physics and chemistry. And if you are lucky enough, then you would get questions as it is from these exams in your NEET paper as well, as I got mine. So the thing was that if you do that, it will be a much helpful thing for you as well to get 600 plus in NEET.
So we have the second question from Sanath. He's asking, which topics should we study outside NCRT in biology and chemistry?
Okay, so the thing is that now outside NCRT, one thing is that if I talk about my experience in class 11th and in these exams of Aims and NEET, then I did not find much questions outside NCRT. At least in Aims, there was no question outside NCRT from biology. But if you want to study something outside NCRT, then I would refer to the logical topics like animal and plant physiology, and don't go outside NCRT for the memory-based topics like plant morphology, plant anatomy, diversity of animals and plants. Don't go outside NCRT for these topics because the examples will be asked from these topics from NCRT only and only. So stick to NCRT in that point. For chemistry, if you want to go outside the arena of NCRT, then you should go for physical chemistry. You should go for organic chemistry as well. And inorganic should be restricted to the NCRT part only.
All right, so we have a next question coming in from Jitendra, and he wants to know what should you do with assertion and reasoning for Aims right from now?
Now, see, the AR questions are actually the major hurdle which students face in the Aims exam. Another fact is that if you are preparing for AR questions, then you need to change your method of studying the whatever you're studying. You should study every line of the concept as in a way you are questioning yourself. I mean, see, suppose you're studying some phenomenon, what is happening in physics. Then you should try to attach questions to it. Why it is happening? Why? What is the reason that is happening? So if you get in the habit of doing this kind of stuff, studying in this way, then you won't face any difficulty in AR questions from now on. But if you want to prepare it on short notice, it is 1 month is remaining for Aims exam, then I think you should go and buy some book for AR question from AR from the market and practice them from the last year's papers of Aims as well. That is the most effective short-term strategy for AR questions.
All right, so a lot of people, I think, would have the question in their minds of how to avoid common mistakes.
Okay, so silly mistakes, the common mistakes they generally happen in the exams. They may be either calculative, they may be logical, or they may be the wrong reading of the question as well. So my strategy was, I always used to make notes of my mistakes after the exams. And like whenever I used to give a test, I used to make a note of my mistakes. So I would refer to that notes before the next exam. So I would prevent that mistakes again in the next exam as well. So that is one effective strategy of reducing the amount of silly mistakes. And apart from that, try to give more and more tests, more and more exams. That will definitely reduce the silly mistake time.
All right, so keep a book of mistakes. That's what you should do. All right, so we have another question from Ashish who wants to ask, up to how many previous year papers do we need to solve?
Okay, so talking about NCRT, the NCRT was changed in the year I think 2005 or so. So before that, they used to prescribe the old NCRT in the AIPMT exams. So if you do the papers after 2006, I think they would be adequate for you. But for Aims, I don't go beyond 2000. I mean, higher 2000. So because they have a radical different syllabus from what is currently asked. So try to remain in the range of 2000 to present. That would be enough for you.
Alright, so we have a question from Oshin who wants to ask, sir, which topics are mostly asked in the NEET paper?
Okay, so basically in physics, I would say that from class 11th, it is SHM and oscillations, and it is motion, of course, and thermal physics. So these are three topics from class 11th. From class 12th, it is modern electronics, and of course, modern physics, and electronics and communications, and electrodynamics. So that is the most important thing in physics. In chemistry, I would say the organic part of class 12 is very important, and inorganic, I think periodic table and chemical bonding hold very much importance. And physical, I think it is equally important in all subjects. Now, for biology, I would say in class 11th it is anatomy and morphology of plants. Actually, much boring, but it is quite important. And of course, physiology of plants and animals as well. And in class 12 ecology, it is, I think 20 questions are asked every year out of the 90 in biology. So that is a mammoth kind of importance, ecology.
So make sure you're asking those questions and put in your email ID. We will respond to your questions once we get time if we don't answer them here on the webinar, and subscribe to our channel. So we have another question from Swapnajit Dash who wants to ask, how did you memorize plant physiology of class 11th? It's really tough.
Oh, I don't think plant physiology is the one I expected the question from, because plant physiology is a very logical topic. If you are finding difficulty in understanding the process, then I think you should refer to Truman's. It has a very good understanding of the plant physiology as well. But because it is not, very much of a remembering part of. So if you understand, okay, if you are talking about the cycles, I think the Calvin cycle and the stuff. Basically, I used to make mnemonics for that. So I used to make mnemonics for Calvin cycle, for Krebs cycle. That helped me to remember all those difficult things.
Okay, so we have one more question. Vidisha Basu wants to know, how should we study now? Go through the entire chapter or just solve MCQs?
Okay, so I think she's talking about the last month preparation of NEET. So basically, this, as I told earlier as well, because it is the MCQ preparation part of the preparation. So try to solve as many questions as possible. And only if you find certain mistakes that you are not able to solve these questions of some chapters, then go back and refer to the topics from your reference books, not the entire theory.
Okay, so Nisarg wants to ask, I am a Gujarat board student and English is really tough for me, not possible for me. Please suggest to me what book I should refer to for biology and physics.
Okay, so basically, if you are a Gujarat board student and English is an issue, then still the exam doesn't change for you. I mean, the question will be asked from NCERT only. So even if you, I know that is tough, but there is no other option. I'm sorry to do that, but NCERT is the only book for NEET as well as for Gujarat board students.
Alright, so Radhika wants to know, my physics is comparatively weaker than chemistry and bio. So what topic should I focus in physics to score 120 plus in the subject?
I think I answered this question before as well. I answered the topics of class 11 and class 12, which were important, and that should be referred.
Alright, so do look back at the webinar later for what Het Shah said and you will get your response. Make sure you keep those questions coming. Alright, so Kailash wants to know, how many chapters did you revise daily? How many hours did you sleep? Your daily routine? He wants to know everything.
Now the thing is, see, this question is a very absurd question. How many hours do you sleep is actually it depends upon the demands of the person. Come on. I mean, if you want to sleep for 8 hours, you sleep for 8 hours. You don't feel like sleeping, you don't sleep. So the thing is that this is not a question which we should ask formally. So the thing is, whenever you feel like sleeping, you sleep, and whenever you feel like studying, you study. But my feeling was that I used to sleep at least 7 hours per day, and of course more than that on a regular basis.
Alright, so make sure you get enough sleep. Sri Lakshmi wants to know how to practice numericals in physics for me.
She actually is talking about physics because numericals are the most important part in physics. So I would refer some MCQ books like Errorless, as I told earlier, that it is a very good book for MCQs. And of course, after you have grabbed the concepts of physics, you don't need to revise it again and again. Just go for MCQs.
Alright, so make sure you put attention on MCQs. Guys, keep asking those questions and put in those email IDs. We will respond to all of those questions. I promise you we will do that. Subscribe as well. So here, Kashyap wants to know how to tackle chapters like oscillations and waves, which involve derivation and integration.
Okay, so here I start about oscillations and waves. Now see, the most important part is many people actually try to memorize the formulas and then go for solving questions, which will actually help them in the NEET, but in difficult questions it won't help them. So the thing is that, see, try to understand the derivations first before you attempt the question. So if you understand the derivation of the physics formulas, then actually it will give you an ability of modifying those derivations and trying to fit in different questions. So it will actually give you a wide range of problem solving. So try to understand the derivations. Try to modify the derivation in your own way. Form your own methods. Form your own shortcuts. Form your own shortcuts. So all this, is a product of logical brains. It is physics is logical. I mean, there is nothing called memory-based thinking in physics. So try to do that as much as possible.
Alright, so Dapinder wants to know, what is the method to memorize the tough examples of names of species?
Okay, so actually now it's talking about biology and plant animal diversity. So I have one very interesting thing for you, how I studied. Actually plant and animal morphology and anatomy were actually very tough for me as well. because I couldn't remember it quite easily. So what I did was that I used to first read it once and then I used to write it without seeing it. So I did this for let's say 5 to 6 times in over a period of 2 or 3 months, and then I didn't need to read it anymore. I just used to revise it in once per month every time.
Yes. So maybe name your friend with the species name and then remember it that way.
That's
Make sure you take his advice and keep practicing those names. Piyush wants to know what is the best source or book for GK for Aims.
Now, see, the thing was that when I prepared for GK, I used to refer to my class 8th, 9th, 10th history, civics, and geography books. So I had preserved that right from my class 8th and 9th, hoping for the Aims exam, let's say. But that was not the idea. The thing so, but unfortunately or fortunately for me, they asked only current affairs this time. So if you are actually wanting to remain on the safe side, you should try to refer to history as well and geography, civics as well. But the most important part is current affairs. So you should, in the month before Aims, you should try to refer to the current affairs of let's say last 6 months or so. So try to refer to all the last 6 months current affairs. Either it is available online or in some magazine like CSR or GK Today. Just do that, and international, national, Nobel prizes, and all the latest who's who. Try to refer that, and that will be helpful for you.
Okay, so here we have a question from Pragya who wants to know, do the marks in our coaching institutes mock tests really reflect our score in NEET, as the level in the mock test is often higher than that in NEET?
Now, the thing is that, see, if you are saying that, I will not say that it reflects your performance in NEET because it did not reflect mine. So the thing is that, but you should at least maintain a decent level of performance in your test as well. I mean, see, if you are getting below 300 and if you expect to get above 600, that is not going to happen. So if you are getting 600 and you expect 650, that is possible. But it should not be like a sudden jump is never possible in the exam. So try to maintain a decent level of marks in your performance as well. So that will help you to maintain a level of satisfaction and also a good enough feeling, a feel good feeling.
And you have confidence too, right? And
Yeah,
you can
that
do that.
confidence will also increase.
All right, so Akshita Sharma wants to know, is it worth practicing the previous year's papers this month or should we go for the question bank?
Of course, before the last year, before the last month of the exams, if you do previous year's papers, then I think it is the best possible way to revise the entire thing. But if you are doing question banks as well, see the most important thing is do question banks. That is, do as much question as possible. So if you are doing questions, if you are doing MCQs, whatever it might be, last year's papers or even new questions or something. So you should just do questions in this last month.
All right, so Subhash wants to know, please suggest some important chapters for all the three subjects.
I actually answered the question much before, so I refer to that.
So do look back at our webinar in order for to get those answers. All right, so Shalini is asking how to increase the speed for those 3 hours. Any shortcut tricks?
See, actually, there are no shortcut tricks, unfortunately. Of course, because if you want to increase the speed in those 3 hours, you have to practice. I would say that I practiced let's say about 250 or 300 papers in my 2 years in the exam-like environment, apart from the unofficial ones which are at homes. So try to practice as much as possible. That would be the only way to increase your speed.
All right, so practice, practice, practice. So Anirudh wants to know, I didn't go to a coaching center. How can I crack the exam?
Okay, so actually now it is not really necessary that you go to a coaching center. See, of course, if you have support of good teachers in your local area, in your schools as well, and if you have, nowadays your online courses are available as well. Like Topper is providing some good courses. So the thing is that if you are in a local, in a distant area, then you should try to reuse your these resources, online resources as well as your school resources as well. Coaching is not a very essential factor, although it does improve your chances of ranking, but it is not essential. So you should just concentrate on yourself.
All right, guys, keep those questions coming. Where are those questions? I want to see those questions, and make sure you put in your email ID so that we can respond to any unanswered questions on the webinar, and subscribe to our channel, guys. Remember to keep those questions coming. All right, so we have here another question from Kilan who wants to ask, I'm unable to score above 120 in test series. Please, can you suggest a book which contains basic as well as the questions of NEET level?
For this, the best book is, as I said, RLS, which is also known as the USS. So I think that that contains graded questions of level 1, level 2. So if you want to start from the beginning basics, then I think that is the best book to follow.
Alright, so take care of that. Rizwan is asking, can anyone crack NEET if one can solve only theory questions in NEET and not numericals?
Unfortunately, no. Because physics in NEET is mostly numericals. Out of 45, 40 questions are numericals, so you cannot crack based on that.
There you have your answer. Alright, so Grishma is asking, I go to school as well as tuition. How do I manage time for self-study?
A
Please
very good
help.
question, because nowadays school and coaching, many students do school and coaching together, so that's a difficult thing to manage. So the thing is that you must actually coordinate both your school studies as well as your coaching studies. I mean, see, if you are learning something at school, then try to learn it beforehand, and then do learn at school as well as coaching. Then it will help you to reduce your time of consolidating at home. Try to consolidate.
Alright, so Ananya is asking, in unanswered biology books, at the beginning of every unit, there is a page about some scientists. Should we study those?
That is for information, and if you are studying that, actually like to read all those parts, so I remembered that quite well. So it worked to my advantage. But they are often asked in the exam, so better study that.
So you should study that. Okay, so Sapnil is asking gastrulation tips.
Oh come on, gastrulation. I mean that is a topic of the MBBS first year. Come on, you should not study that right now.
There you go. Keep off from that topic then. Alright, so how to tackle negative marks?
Okay, so see, negative marks is quite stiff in NEET and as well as Aims. In NEET it is 1/4 and Aims it is 1/3. So the thing is that, see, if you are like 50-50 sure about the answer in NEET, then I think you should go for taking the question. But if you are completely unsure of don't know anything about the answer about the question, then it is better to leave the question and not go for any unwanted risks. So keep that in mind. And this will come by practice only. I cannot say any perfect algorithm for them.
Right, so we have another question from Yash who's asking, which subject did you solve first?
Okay, so my pattern of solving the papers was I used to do biology first, then chemistry, and lastly physics, because I wanted to reserve the maximum time for physics, because it was where I committed my maximum of silly mistakes actually.
Alright, so Dapinder Singh is asking the questions from Monira, Protista, Fungi, and Algae chapters of Bio 11 are usually outside the content given in answered. From where do I refer for these topics?
Okay, so if you want to do that extra reference, then I think we should go for Truman's, as I said. So if you can do for Truman's, then it is a good enough book. But it is still a very vast book, so refer only if you have time.
Alright, so we have one question that I think a lot of people would like to know. Subject-wise, which topics do you think we should not miss at any cost?
Subject-wise topics, I said earlier as well, that SHM and oscillations, and physics in class 11th, thermal physics also in class 11th, and electromagnetism, electrodynamics, and modern physics in class 12th. And in chemistry, if you go for organic chemistry, entire class 12th part, very important. And of course, chemical bonding and periodic table of class 11th in inorganic. And physical chemistry, I think, is entirely important. I mean, you should not miss anything out of that. In biology, in class 11th, go for plant anatomy, plant morphology, and physiology of plants and animals. And ecology of class 12 is quite important.
Alright, so keep those questions on and put in your email IDs. We will respond to those questions even after the webinar is done. Make sure that you give those questions to us. We will make sure we respond. Alright, so we have a question from Jay who's asking, are all mechanisms important in organic chemistry?
Actually, now this depends. Now, if you want to just crack the NEET exam and Aims exam, then see, the thing is that it is not really important in NEET exam. But in Aims exam, they often ask questions based on mechanisms. So I think it would be on safe side if you understand the mechanisms. But even if you don't remember all things, then don't worry about that. We just know on a broad basis that what is the mechanism of NAR, NSR, EAR, ESR. If you just know the basic mechanisms or even a broad idea of all these things, then I think it would be the best option and it will help you throughout.
Guys, really important. Notice you have only 5 minutes. Make sure you keep asking questions. We have Het Shah here. I mean, come on, guys. Make sure you put in those email IDs as well. Keep those questions coming. Okay, so Jano wants to ask, which objective book is good for chemistry?
I told you the name of the objective book by Biology Publications. They have 3 books for organic, inorganic, and physical. So they are the most important and good books. But if you want a slightly lower level of books, then you should go for, again, I said, RLS or USS.
Alright, so Babar wants to ask, If a person can solve biology in 45 minutes and score 300 above, then what should be the better strategy for physics and chemistry?
If you are able to do biology in 45 minutes, then I think it is a very good thing for you. So I think you should go for chemistry and try to solve maximum questions of physical chemistry because they are the most boring part of chemistry. And if you are good at organic, I mean, have if you have a knack at organic, then I think it would be a very good for you to do chemistry first. And physics, if you're not comfortable with physics, then try to go for those topics which are asked most in the exams. As I told you earlier as well, which are topics which are asked in physics. So do practice that more and more, and I think it will help you at least solve 30 questions out of 45 in physics, which will be very good enough for you.
All right, so we have one more question from Agniva who wants to know how much time should I spare for each part, physics, chemistry, and biology, and the NEET paper at the time of the exam?
Nothing is that see this actually depends upon the level of your practice and interest in each subjects. Because if I talk about I used to get half an hour for biology and another 40 minutes for chemistry and the rest of the time of physics. So I used to give physics the maximum part of my time because I solved each question very properly and meticulously, so that I do not commit mistakes. But if you find difficulty in any subject, then you should devote more time to that subject.
So make sure you concentrate on those weaker subjects, guys, just like Het Shah has mentioned here. Now, Nitin wants to know, is 1 year enough for cracking NEET without coaching?
That is a very uphill task, I would say, because without coaching, you want to crack in 1 year, because you have to refer to both 11th and class 12th, and then coaching provides you a direction of study. I mean, they tell you actually what to study and when to study and how much to study. Without coaching, if you just go on studying, even without knowing what is going to be asked in the exams, then it will be quite an uphill task for you.
Alright, so Pragya Agarwal wants to know, are named reactions outside the insert important and do they need to be done?
Okay, see, actually, if you are done with all the new texts of NCRT, only then you should look for all these things. Actually, yes, I did. I did the last year's papers of Aims, generally mains and NEET, and whatever questions I found outside the NCRT named reactions, I referred to them in detail in my books as well. So actually, I did it, but it is, I know, the chances of getting them are like 1% in 45. So I think we should concentrate on the what is the majority part of that thing, not on that which is 1 out of 45.
Alright, so here we have another question popping in. Did you start studying from class 8? Somebody wants to know the secret.
Okay, not actually. Now I started for studying for NEET right from class 11th and 12th only. Before that, I was doing only school and preparing just like any other student.
Alright, so there you have your answer. Sarnath wants to know, I'm done with 80% of the syllabus. What should I do for the remaining 20%? Read theory, which may consume time, or just go for MCQs?
If you're talking about the last 1 month, then I think you should rush because by this time all of them have at least completed 2 or 3 revisions of the entire syllabus, and you are not completed syllabus. So I think you should try to go for the MCQs right now, and you should try to consolidate your 80%, not focus on the 20% which is remaining.
Alright, so guys, keep those questions coming. You almost have run out of time, but make sure you add in those email IDs so that we respond to them when we have time later. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Now, we have an important question. How did you manage the stress 1 month before the exam?
Okay, now actually this is a very common phenomenon. Now you are going to give such a huge exam with lakhs of students in it. So definitely you have some amount of stress, expectations, peer pressure, and all this stuff. So the thing is that you should try to develop something known as self confidence in yourself as well, and you should try to talk to family more often. Try to indulge yourself in the hobbies which you like, because you are also called stress busters, and which are actually constructive hobbies. So indulge in that, read novels or read newspapers and all that stuff, and try to do as much as stress busting as possible, but all within a time frame. So that would help you to beat the stress.
Alright, so do remember whatever Het Shah has advised you to do. Guys, I know this is a stressful time for you, and a lot of you would be having so many different questions. So, just like Het advised, you should be going for all those MCQs, you have to be solving those question papers. Do you have any final tips, Het, that you want to give to them?
Okay, so some final tips or I would like to give the students is that basically see, now the time before the exams is that now you have to do maximum of MCQs. That is the most important tip. Try to go through the NCRT of biology. Just leaf it through each diagram, each labelings, each summary, and other stuff. and try to go through the physics formulas which you have made if you have made a handbook of that, so that will help you. And for chemistry, go through the reactions of organic and inorganic, which are actually quite important and you might have highlighted during your time of preparation. And apart from that, try to remain relaxed in this point of time. I mean, see, rushing things through the suburb or studying for late night and waking up early in the morning, studying late night won't help much at this time. So try to remain as focused and calm as possible. Try to just maintain your focus and not get bored, because it is quite a boring time. Of course, you are reading the same things again and again, so that will bore you. So try to just maintain your target is just 1 month away, so you don't have to wait much after 2 days of intense waiting. Just you're just near the finish line, you're just about to cross it. So just maintain your pace till then. If you falter now, then it will be a horrible mistake, which you won't forget throughout the lifetime. So the thing is that just maintain whatever pace was there. Try to increase it further if you can. That would be even good for you. And of course, best of luck for the coming exams. That would be from my side.
All right, so guys, make sure that you take care of whatever Hayath has given you advice on. Be sure to check out the webinar. If you've missed it, it will be available on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe, and we would really like you to watch the upcoming videos as well, where we have a lot of tips and tricks coming up for you for your exam. So make sure to check out those as well. And we wish you all the best from Topper and do well in your exams. Make sure you don't get stressed, just like Hayath advised. And it was really fun having you with us. I hope you had fun too, Hayath. It was wonderful having you with us today. All the best, guys. Bye.
All the best.